Welcome to this Tesla Model S Hardware 2 Autopilot Challenge, where we will try to be on autopilot from Barkaby in the north of Stockholm, and then go through Stockholm and down south to Farsta, and see how many times we have to disengage autopilot to do this route. This will take us from on this freeway, which is called E18. We will transition over to E4, so also a freeway, and then we will go into a highway situation on 73, and that we have to switch lanes within a tunnel 2 times, which we probably need to disengage the autopilot, and then up on the other side. Yeah, let's see how it do. So this is a Hardware 2 car, a Tesla Model S, with the firmware version 8.1 and the firmware version 17.17.4. And we are currently heading south, so we're southbound on E18. And with this release, then the news with this release is that on highways that will have intersections and traffic lights and so on, you can now raise the speed limit above 50 kilometers an hour. In miles per hour, that was 35. So the difference is really that we can now go at the speed of most of the roads on autopilot, even if it's not classified as a freeway. So let's see how it behaves. And so far it's been working quite well. And my experience with this release so far is that it performs quite a bit better on highways and freeway type of situation, but a little bit less so if you don't have good lane markers on local roads in kind of where you have housing and more like a very urban situation. And especially if the road is going up and down and having quite steep turns. But for this kind of situations, like we're in right now on a freeway, it works really well. And my intention is to run this recording from the start to the end without doing any editing. If the camera stays on all the time and we are not hitting a lot of traffic. If we get into traffic congestion situations, I might speed up that sections just so you don't sit and wait in queues all day. But hopefully we will have a smooth journey. And one thing that I've noticed in this release is that taking turns like the one we are in right now, it's much smoother. It's not ping-ponging back and forth as it did in the last release, which for me was 17.11.3. It actually is very nice and smooth and works really well. So introduced in the last release, that was 17.11.3, was auto lane change on highways, and that works whenever you're on in a freeway situation, meaning that you have a divided highway with no intersection, traffic lights or anything like that, and it's classified like that by Tesla. Then you can actually change lanes by just turning the turn signal. But on local roads or roads that are highways but is not classified as freeways, you need to switch lanes manually. So then you need to turn off the autopilot, the Autosteer, and then engage it again. So I expect that will happen 2 times today. And that the reason for this is that we will be in a tunnel, and when you are out of GPS signal, independent of what road you're on, it will treat it as a local road. Okay, what we had there was the lane marking was not very clear, so it ping-ponged a little bit in between the bus lane and the car lane, but it went back into the car lane again. And on this section of road that we are on right now, which we transitioned over to a freeway called the E4 southbound, the lanes here is quite narrow, and with a very wide car like the Tesla, it can feel like you are really close to the other cars, and it can also look like you are actually going over the lines, even if you're not. And I will need to transition over 2 lanes to the left, so I will start that process now, and then we will go one more over as we are getting closer to one of the tunnels that we're going to go into today. And so far, the feeling for me is that it performs, in these conditions, it performs really well. It feels very comfortable. It stays quite good in the lane. It's not ping-ponging back and forth. And if we have traffic around us, it's kind of slowing down and adjusting to the cars in front of us a little bit smoother than it did in the previous version. So far we've been on autopilot all the time. No big challenges except for that ping-ponging a little bit around the bus lane and the car lane. And quite soon here I want to probably gonna transition over right now to, and as you said, I only pull the turn signal, and then at least in Europe I think you need to apply slight pressure, touch the steering wheel just before or around the time that you're changing lane. And I think this is a security precaution. So right now we are actually traveling above the speed limit, 10 kilometers an hour above the speed limit, but it's the rhythm of the traffic here. But if you want to adjust to the speed limit without manually adjusting the speed up and down with the Autopilot stalk, you can pull it towards you and hold it, and it will then adjust to the speed. So let's see if we can change lanes here, or I'm not going fast enough, probably not going fast enough. So I think you need to go over 30 kilometers an hour for doing automatic lane change. And we have a little bit of traffic here. Hopefully it will not be too bad. And here you had a car cutting in, and sometimes you will get that kind of a disruptive behavior. So now with a very low speed, I will move down to a closer distance to the car. So on the cruise control or the Autopilot stalk, at the top of it, the tip of it, there's a small dial that you can dial the distance between the cars. And I will keep a quite short distance now, which means that it's less likely that cars will cut in. The downside, of course, is if people are cutting in, Autopilot has less time to respond to that event. So very soon here we're gonna enter a tunnel with a left-hand, a right-hand turn. And the speed indicator, the speed limit indicator, the traffic sign that right now says 70, will, a short while after it loses the GPS signal, it will go away, which means that it's not treating this, it doesn't know what the speed limit is on that road. But it will not change the speed on Autopilot for you in the situation. So you'll probably see it go away quite soon. There we go. And you could also see that as we entered the tunnel, we had an indication of the lanes. The left-hand side lane was indicated with a lane marker. And as soon as we lose the GPS signal, so we don't know if this is on an actual highway or not, or a freeway or not, it will not allow you to do automatic lane change anymore. And I guess that's it's again a safety feature, kind of. The Tesla doesn't know, Autopilot system doesn't know if the lane is oncoming traffic or not, and it doesn't want to, of course, switch into the oncoming traffic. So here we can see, as we came out of the tunnel, speed limit came back again, and we can also see a faint gray line to the side, which indicates the lane next to us, which gives an indication that you can do automatic lane change. Right now we are at a little bit above the speed limit, so by pulling the Autopilot stalk towards you and hold it for a few seconds, like that, it will now adjust down the speed limit, adjust down to the speed limit, I'm sorry. And a similar kind of thing when you go into an area where the speed limit is higher, you can just pull it towards you and it will adjust up. It's a very practical way to do it, instead of moving the stock up and down and manually adjust it. So in these kind of situations with quite a bit of traffic around you, especially in front of you, of course. It's Autopilot is really convenient. It really helps you to focus on the traffic and not sit and ride on your gas pedal or the brake. So it's much more relaxing and doesn't need you to take part in the driving as much, of course. So I find that very nice. And as you might be able to see, it's quite narrow lanes here. And with the Tesla being quite wide, it sometimes can feel like you're getting really close to the cars around you. And I think, I haven't been able to confirm this, but I think the ultrasonics is also affecting the lane positioning a bit. So I have at least 1 or 2 occasions where I had a semi on my right side, which was very close to the lane marker, and then the Tesla moved over slightly to the left. Which is nice, because otherwise you can get a little bit nervous. So it looks like we're gonna be in a bit of traffic here for a bit. And depending on how bad it becomes, I might speed up the video. We'll have to see. But so far it's has been working very well. And the only occasions I need to interact with the steering wheel is when it asks me to acknowledge that I'm still here, and when switching lanes. Then you have to make yourself known again before it switch lanes. So there's been quite a bit of fuss around the dancing lines on the visualization in the binnacle. It still moves around a little bit. I think it's a little bit less, and it doesn't seem to affect how the car drives that much. So even if it's moving around a little bit, it doesn't really affect the feeling of how it drives. So just up ahead, there will be, they have a few ramps across the road for some road work, which make the traffic slow down, and it can also sometimes confuse the Autopilot if you go over them in speed. So we'll have to see what happens. I think there are 3 of them. We are coming up on the first one quite soon here. So here we go. And you will see, maybe you saw that the steering wheel was kind of going a little bit back and forth to find its way, but it's not too bad. So if you have a commute with lots of in rush hour traffic like this, Autopilot is really good. It's really makes it much more comfortable, much easier. You don't have to spend as much cognitive load on the driving itself. So now we are a little bit to the west of the center of Stockholm, on the freeway going around it, and passing soon south of the city center. And it looks like we have some slowdown going into the tunnel that we're gonna enter in a few kilometers. So let's see how bad the traffic will be if we need to speed up the movie or not. So you may have noticed that the lanes to the left and right is now gone, and I think this is due to the speed we're going at. And I thought it was 30 kilometers an hour and it would show it, but it seems like it's it might be that you need to go faster, or that it doesn't, because all of the cars it doesn't read are able to see the markings. So most likely I will not be cut off in this situation, so I'm to be a little bit more, leave a little bit more distance. I'm changing the distance to the car in front to 3 instead of 1, which makes the acceleration and the acceleration much smoother. So what I want to do is to actually move over to the lane next to us here, and let's see. Let's leave it, see if we can do it later on. But it might mean that we need to disengage Autopilot and switch lanes due to the speed, or that it doesn't detect the lines itself. Okay, let's move over. So disengaged intentionally and re-engaging again. There we go. So I guess that was roughly 2-3 seconds that I had to disengage Autopilot to be able to switch lanes, and I think I need to do it at least once more in the tunnel. And then it's not due to the speed, it's more due to it's not having the GPS signal and not allowing us to switch lanes. So hopefully, as the software matures, we will be able to have the cars merge into traffic in these types of situations itself. And not forcing you to take over manually. But then again, it's still a very comfortable ride, and very little you have to spend your energy on in terms of driving effort. And one of the neat features here, while we are going slow, what we can look at is, not sure how much you will be able to see this on the video, but the illustration here with the roads will indicate in different colors the speed of the traffic. So right now it's red, and then it's going to become orange. And if everything is flowing as it should, it's green. So it's quite easy to see in advance if you have any congestions or anything like that, so you can plan your journey. So as we enter into the tunnel, I can switch over to let's switch over to the regular map view, which will make the roads a little bit more clear to see. And here you can see on this road here, it's a small access road on the side, it's green, and us now in the tunnel, you will see it's orange and red down here. I'll switch this on again for tracking. And as we move slowly, what I can show you a little bit more in detail, because I think you should be able to see that even clearer now, is that on the binnacle here, you see the road itself with the blue lines on the side. That's what the Autopilot is tracking as the road and the lane that we are in. If they're blue, that means that it's recognizing both sides, and it's using it to steering. We have two cars in front, so even if you might not be able to see the car in front itself, the radar is helping us to identify the car in front. And if you they will change color depending on how it's using it, and if it's white, it's something that it's tracking for distance and keeping the distance and the speed. And sometimes if you don't have any other road indications of the road, like the blue lines for the lane, the car can turn blue, which means that it will use that car to determine how it will steer on the road. And you can also see the like the arcs, and right now we have an arc to the left here that was indicated for the car that came here. So we have another car coming, and right now we actually need to switch over to the lane on my right, which goes a little bit slower. So I will use turn signal and I will take over, and as soon as we are in the lane again, I will switch on the autopilot. So auto lane changing is not working on non-freeway situations, and also if you're in a freeway and you don't have a GPS signal, then it will not allow you to do automatic lane change at the moment. So let's switch back the map view to satellite. And soon we will exit the tunnel to the right, and we will transition into the road 73 southbound. And it is a kind of a freeway style type of road, or highway road. There's no intersections or anything like that, but it's still not classified as a freeway, which means on previous versions you could only use autopilot up to 50 kilometers an hour, but now you can use it up. Basically, it's when you set it, it will set it to the speed limit detected, plus minus your offset that you have defined that you want it to be. And then it seems like you can adjust manually the speed yourself up and down. At least that's what I've experienced so far. So while we sitting here, we could actually zoom out, and we can see a little bit more about where we are compared to Stockholm. So if you've ever been to Stockholm and know about the Globe Arena, this is here. Just we're gonna pass it on our right side, which is south of the Stockholm city center. So I will turn the map to so it will be oriented north and south. So here you have the city center. With the castle and the building where we have the government buildings. And we started out up here, and we have gone down here, over here, around, and down here, and we're gonna continue down to this area down here. And we will quite soon exit the tunnel. Let's zoom back in again. And I actually really like to have the view with the heading going up. So here we can see the Globe Arena, and I can see that this satellite image is quite old, because this stadium here is actually not there anymore, and there's a big stadium, new stadium being built, been built here. That's just some information around about Stockholm for you while sitting here waiting in the queue. So here again we need to move one lane over to the left, and because it's not a freeway and we don't have a GPS signal, it's actually you could say that it's a, you should be able to do it here, but because we don't have a GPS signal, it's not working. So I'm gonna switch lanes here myself, and because the speed is as it is, I needed to take it off automatic cruise control as well. Engaging it again, so again just a few seconds that we're off the autopilot. We're now coming up out on road 73 southbound, the south of Stockholm. It's not classified as a freeway, which means that I can't do automatic lane changing. So I will stay in this lane. Let's give that one a little bit more room. So we can't do automatic lane change until we get to the freeway, which will start quite soon, and you will see, I can point out the road sign and we'll see when the GPS think we are actually on the freeway. So quite soon we will be on the freeway section of the road, which will give us the option to do automatic lane changing with just using the turn signal. And the road sign should be a few hundred meters ahead of us. But not too far. Well, might actually be even a few hundred meters more. And usually what I'll get the indication here that I will be able to change lane. Yep, so there we go. And the actual sign, so this sign, the green sign here, says in 200 meters. So up here, that's actually where the freeway starts. But the GPS coordinate says it's a little bit earlier. So now we are south of Stockholm in the southern part, the southern suburbs, and we will pass Farsta here very soon. And we will just go a little bit more south, and as we will get up to the freeway speed of 110 kilometers an hour. And right now we're on 70. And if I want to adjust it up, you can use the Autopilot stalk, and you move it one notch up, it will go 1 kilometers up. If you do it 2 notches up, it will go to the next 5 kilometer interval. But as we pass the 90 kilometers an hour sign, I will show you that we can increase to 90 kilometers an hour by just pulling the Autopilot stalk once and hold it against us for a few seconds. So I have my hand on it right now, just waiting for it to turn. So we are passing the sign 90 kilometers an hour right now. It shows on the display there, and I hold it back, and now it moved up to 90 kilometers an hour. Really convenient. I didn't know that, and I didn't read about it in the manual either. But very convenient. So again, a little bit of traffic. Let's see if we can move one over. Yep. Sometimes what just happened here is, as you switch lanes, Autopilot gets a little bit confused of the car. Is it in your lane or not in your lane? So it will actually hesitate a little bit of increasing the speed. I'm just slowly increasing the speed here again to keep with the flow of the traffic. And to wrap up, so we went from the northern part of Stockholm to the southern part of Stockholm, mostly on kind of highway, freeway situations. And we had to disengage Autopilot intentionally 3 times to switch lanes, but otherwise we didn't need to disengage it for other reasons. And you can very easily run to the speed of the traffic, as you've seen, which is really nice. So all in all, I will say that for highway, freeway situations, with good lane markings, it works really well. It's really smooth, really comfortable. So 2 big thumbs ups for me. A really good release in terms of these type of road conditions. But as you can see in one of my other videos, it has actually become worse in doing local urban roads, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But yeah, you get some and you lose some. So thank you so much. There's been a Autopilot challenge, going from the north to the south in a Tesla Model S with HW2, and the firmware version has been 8.1 and then 17.17.4. Thank you very much. Have a good day.